I went from scoring a 48 percentile to a 98 percentile in CAT within the span of just 1 year. On top of that, I had scored a C1 in maths when I was in 10th grade. And from there, being able to even crack quants and LRDI was a big and huge achievement for me. And during this journey, I did not get proper guidance. I went through a lot of YouTube videos, but everything was so sporadic and there was never one proper guideline which was ever given to me as to how to crack CAT. Broadly, I'm going to talk about 4 main aspects in this video. The first is the mindset to crack CAT. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is the time required. Third is coaching. Should you go for it? Should you not go for it? And finally, some of the most common mistakes that all of us students make in the CAT journey. So let's start with the mindset to crack CAT because this is the most important part of your entire journey. I've been through so many videos on the internet which talk about I was able to crack CAT in 3 months or I was able to crack CAT in 6 months. What it does is it makes you feel like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. There's no success in the world which is quick. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of strategies. It takes a right amount of skills to reach there. So if you start thinking that, okay, I am going to achieve all of this in a very short amount of time, that is just the wrong ideology. Imagine if I was preparing for CAT in my first attempt when I didn't even know how to do addition and subtraction properly. And yes, I did not know how to do subtraction properly because I was so reliant on my calculator. And I sat there and I thought, you know what, I'm going to crack CAT in 2 months. It's just not possible. So you have to be a little realistic. Yes, it's okay to be ambitious, but some amount of realism is also required in cracking a paper which is so maths heavy, which is so logic heavy, which is so data driven. Now, another thing that you have to keep in mind is the competition is intense. During our parents' time, the amount of students who would apply for CAT and those who would actually qualify, that percentage is nowhere near how it is right now. In today's time, more and more students are applying for the CAT exam and less students are qualifying for the exams. So the competition is way worse than it was for our parents. Why am I telling you this? If you're not able to crack the exam in one attempt, have the leverage for second or third attempts because sometimes it does take that much time. And forget sometimes, most of the times it does take that much time. So give yourself that leverage. If you think that one exam which happens once a year is all that you need to crack the exam and you put all of your eggs in that basket, and when you actually don't qualify for it, if it happens, I'm not saying it is going to happen, but if it happens, it breaks you from inside. And all of a sudden you feel like, I do not have a plan B or a plan C. What am I going to do with my life? So instead of getting to that stage, when that happens or if that happens, keep that leverage that it might take me a second attempt, it might take me a third attempt, and I'm going to be patient enough to keep trying for it because it means so much to me. Now come to the second most important part of this entire CAT journey, which is devising exactly how much time it's going to require for you to crack CAT. Now the first thing you need to do is you have to account for every single thing. When I mean every single thing, you have to account for every single thing. So what do I mean by accounting for everything? So you're going to open an Excel sheet and therein you're going to write the entire syllabus for arithmetic, for algebra, and get very specific about it. Under percentages, write specific concepts. Now in the first column, all that you're going to write is the amount of time it's going to require for you to complete the lectures. So if you're watching videos on YouTube, just write that down. If you're watching some digital recordings from your coaching, just write that down. Or if you're going for offline coaching, just account for the time that it's going to require for you to finish that particular chapter. For example, for specifically percentages, the lecture time is 2 hours. After that, you write, okay, how much time am I going to take for self-prep? Let's say for self-prep, it's 3 hours or 4 hours. Account for that. Now, once you've done this for the lecture and the self-prep time, the third aspect that comes is the mock time. So it's going to take you around 2.5 hours to give mocks. Now, when you're giving mocks, it's not just the mocks that you're giving. It's a lot of mental preparation also that you're doing before you sit for the mock paper. You're preparing all of the stationery, you're mentally preparing yourself, or maybe you're going through the formula book before sitting for that mock exam. Account for that time as well. And once you've given the mock, you also have to account for the time it takes for analysis as well. So account for that as well. And account for anything else which is miscellaneous. For example, I used to go through a lot of CAT marathon videos once I was done with the self-prep as well. So that is something which was additional time for me. On top of that, I was horrible at CAT basics. Not exactly CAT basics, but maths basics. So I was horrible at subtraction, at division. I didn't know the basic rules, so I needed to revise that. So I counted that time as well in my preparation journey. So once you've written down all of the time that is required for you to crack CAT, calculate it and see how much time you can give on a daily basis. Then you will get the full picture of exactly how much time you need. This Excel sheet will also act like an accountability tracker for you, because then you know, acha, I have spent 3 hours for percentages. Did I actually complete it? And this is going to be very important, because most of the times we're relying on our gut feeling कि हाँ हमने कर ही लिया होगा, इतना time काफी ही होगा. But when you have this set and written in hard and written rule, you are going to follow it through the T, and I'm guaranteeing you this is a foolproof way to get a 99 plus percentile in CAT. So I've made a draft Excel sheet exactly on this concept, which I'm going to share the link for in my WhatsApp group. So the WhatsApp group link is in the description below. You can join that. Again, this is just a very generalized Excel sheet. You will have to make it you specific. Now, some of the caveats that you'll have to keep in mind while you're making this Excel sheet is giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. You think you can crack percentages in 3 hours. Maybe it takes you 4 hours, or maybe it takes you 5 hours. So go on the higher end, okay? So if you've written 3 hours, just increase that time to maybe 4 hours, because that ways you have accounted for all of the extra time as well. So at the end, if you do need to give extra time to prepare your syllabus as well, you have that leverage with you. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you thought it's going to take 3 hours, it ended up taking you 4 hours, and because of that, your entire syllabus is not covered at the end of the CAT paper or near the CAT paper. You are going to start panicking a lot. So be better prepared. Keep all of the contingency plans in action, and that comes with preparing for extra time as well if needed. One more thing which most people do not account for is the time that it's going to require for you to memorize things, because you have to memorize a lot. You have to memorize your formula book. Geometry, there's a lot of formulae. On top of that, there's squares, there's cube roots, there are tables, and so much more. So account for memorization as well, because it is an important part. You could know the concepts really well, but if you haven't memorized these basic things, during your CAT paper, you're going to lose out a lot of time using calculator. Now coming to the next section, which is, should I go for coaching or should I not go for coaching? Now this is a very personal question. I cannot say that, yeah, go for coaching, because it worked out for me. And I have also known people who were studying for their actuary exams and they realized we're already good at maths, let's just give CAT as a backup. And they just went for the exam, gave the exam, and they were able to crack. For them, coaching was the absolute worst idea. So I want you to ask yourself certain questions to see if you should get coaching or if you should not get coaching. The very first question that you need to ask yourself is, how good am I at quants? So rate yourself from 1 to 10 here. 1 is really pathetic and 10 is amazing at maths, that I can score a 99.99 in quants. So for me, that number was around 2 or 3, because I was really pathetic at maths. I was really horrible at maths. I was really awful at maths. So be true to yourself here. The second question is, do I have time for trial and error? What does that mean? So let's say if I learn a particular passage, I am learning, let's say, time, speed and distance, and I learn it through online videos, let's say Rodha channel, which is very famous, and the videos are extremely long as well. Now, it does not cover for everything. So do I have the time that I haven't covered everything that comes in time, speed and distance? And I realize that while I am doing my mock papers, so do I have the time that I have made an error and I can rectify that? If you do not have that time, just write no here. So the third thing that I want you to do is, without any prep, just sit down and give a mock exam. Okay, any mock exam. You have to buy a mock series anyways. So just sit down, give a mock exam and see your score. Now ask yourself, can I increase this score by myself in the next 2 to 3 weeks? And be very honest with yourself, because now you know the difficulty of the CAT paper. So if the answer is no, just write that. Maybe is not a good enough answer. It has to be very particular, yes or no. The next question is, can I cover all of the syllabus easily without any guidance? Now this is very important, because you're not going to get any guidance. You cannot ask the teacher about anything. You don't have a teacher right now. So ask yourself this, go through the syllabus. Can I cover all of it easily? I know a lot of engineers, when they look at the CAT syllabus, they're just like, what? this is just a cakewalk for us. So if you are that person, right, yes, I can easily cover all of the syllabus by myself without any guidance. So right now, if your answer is below 5 for the first question, and then it's no for all of these subsequent questions, that no, I cannot cover the CAT ones by myself, I don't have time for trial and error, or I can't do it without guidance, or whatever. If your answer is no for all of these successive ones, then I would highly recommend that you go for CAT coaching. So let's come to the final part of the video, which is the most common CAT mistakes that most of our students make because we do not get the right guidance. So the first mistake that most of us make is that we focus on the hard stuff instead of the easy stuff. And that is a very big mistake because CAT is a paper which relies a lot on the selection of the questions that you make. So if you can select easy questions, there's a chance that you can score a 99 percentile. So you don't necessarily need to do the hard stuff. But what most of us do is we think, okay, we're not good at this, let's focus on that. And sometimes what we're not good at is the hard stuff. So what I mean by this is cover the basics first. When I mean basics, absolute basics. Basics to the level of why is minus multiplied by minus a plus sign, or why is it that compound interest we put the power at the top? I mean, what's the logic behind it? So cover the absolute basics, because if you are clear with the basics, you can at least solve 30% of the quant section, and 30% of the quant section, if you get right, is very easily 98, 97 percentile in quants. And same goes for LRDI as well. I don't understand why everybody starts with the harder sets. Start with the easy sets, because when you start with the easy sets, at least your basics are getting cleared. You're learning new concept with each subsequent set. But if you go with the harder one, you will maybe remember 50% of it. But if you go with the easy one, and if you remember the 50% of it, the 50% of what you'll remember is stuff which you did not know before. So stop focusing on the hard stuff first. Focus on the easy stuff, because that way you'll be able to cover up all of your basics. The second mistake that people make is making a mind map for RCs. Absolute 100% absolute waste of time, and whatever coaching is telling you, that is absolutely wrong in this regard. And this is an advice that you're initially going to get a lot, especially if you're not good at VRC. What I want you to do is I want you to just pick up an RC passage, read it, and each time when you're reading it, give yourself less and less and less time. Okay, the first time, give yourself as much time as required and try to answer all of the questions. The second time that you do it, give yourself less time, then less time, then less time. Because mind mapping in general is such a tedious process. It's going to take you at least 12 minutes to complete one RC passage, which is a huge waste of time, huge waste of time. And this is what I mean by covering up the basics first. So if you're giving yourself, let's say, 20 minutes to complete one RC passage because it's taking you that long, or 30 minutes. Give yourself that time, but get all of the answers right. Now you know that you have it in you to get the answers right. The second thing you need to focus now on is just time, right? So first is getting all of the answers right. Once you've achieved that, the second thing you got to focus on is doing it in less amount of time. Now, another third mistake that most people make is making a vocabulary book, which is again a waste of time. Now, if I say something like that, what an asinine idea. If I'm saying like that, what an asinine idea, I'm not smiling about it. I don't think it's a great idea. So automatically you get an idea that, okay, asinine is probably something negative and not something great. And this is how you understand the meanings of words. But if you sit down to remember all of the words, because vocabulary is intense, there are just so many words, it's not possible for you to know all of the words that exist in the world. You are setting yourself up for failure, because you will eventually come across words for which you do not know the meaning of. So instead of doing that, focus on the basics and try to understand from the tone. So when I'm saying what an asinine idea, it's very clear it's a very negative connotation. So try to use such connotations while you're reading your RC passages. Try to get it from whatever is written in the passage. And most of the times you won't even need to know the meanings of certain words unless that particular line is coming exactly in the questions. If that happens, only then you would have to go back to the passage and sort of understand the relation of this word and figure out a meaning of this word. Otherwise, you're not going to necessarily need to know the meanings of these words. Now, another common mistake that most of us make is that we prioritize the syllabus over the mocks. So if you haven't completed the entire syllabus, we will not give the mocks. But that's a wrong strategy, because you could be very well versed with the entire syllabus yet still do bad in the mocks, because mocks are about time management and selecting the right questions. So what I want you to do is, I want you to focus more on mocks rather than the syllabus. So if you do one mock and you get a lot of questions wrong, what you can do is you can, during the analysis section of it, go through those questions and understand exactly what you went wrong. Or if you are doing a lot of guesswork, you're guessing answers and repeatedly they're getting correct, then that is again a strategy that you can use. Nobody cares about how you get to that answer as long as you get that answer right. So if you're amazing at guesswork, then you know that that is your strategy and that is something that you can work on. So instead of relying so much on syllabus, rely more on mocks, because they are going to give you a true picture of exactly where you are at. So a lot of people, when they do not have enough time for mocks, what they do is in 1 week they'll give 2 to 3 mocks. That is a horrible strategy because you're not getting enough time to focus on the analysis section of it. For example, you gave 1 mock and most of the times you got quadratic equations wrong. So you use that entire week to focus just on quadratic equation questions, so that the next time you're giving the mock, there's not a single quadratic equation question that you're getting wrong. So you can use that for any concept that you're not good at, because you're not just giving the quant section, you're giving RCs also, you're going to give VA as well, you're going to give LRDI as well. So use that 1 week to focus on your weaknesses and then see how you do in your next mock paper. If there's absolutely no change, then that means you need to change your strategy while you're sitting down and preparing for these concepts. So well, that gets me to the end of the video. I know I've said a lot in this video, so I would highly recommend that you go back or maybe take screenshots of whatever slides that you got on the screen, because I wrote it with this intent that I write it like a PPT so that you can take screenshots of whatever I'm saying. So do take a lot of screenshots. It will help you in your preparation. Till then, very good luck for your CAT paper and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.